there was a moment I just thought about playing this for 2.5 hours. And I go, listen, I know many of you are saying they haven't won anything yet, and that's accurate. You better hope they don't win the next round. This song will play an entire week. The obnoxious level is through the roof right now.
Please do not quote.
By the way, every New York stereotype was on display with that crowd of Knicks fans in Cleveland last night.
Please do not come close to approaching Stephen A. Smith level of obnoxious.
First off, he abandoned all fandom of the Knicks many, many years ago when he became the character he became. So please do not embarrass others that have never left their fandom. Okay, so whatever.
Don't be that
The
level
same
of
guy after
obnoxious.
wait. The same guy after the last Nick loss said everybody had to be fired and all that. Whatever. Anyway, you're not going to ruin my morning. Get out of here.
I'm not trying to.
Get out of here. I also thought about just playing back all those Cavalier quotes of a better team. And, we've accomplished something they haven't accomplished, in years, or the analytic championship that Kenny Atkinson can claim today. Huh?
Not sure you want to claim that.
Wow. Anyway, do you like today's Double Shot Tuesday theme?
Sure. If it makes you happy, I'm happy.
I just want only songs that mention or have New York in the title. Yep. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. 50857 on the text line. That's it. Just songs that mention the city or any of the boroughs. Yeah. Yeah. This is bothering you, I can tell.
No, it's
under your
really
skin.
not.
No, it is.
No, it's really not.
Yeah. Listen, what do I have with the Giants? Nothing, right? The Rangers are the worst team of the East. Okay? Can you just let me have a moment? Can I have a moment? Is that
Mark,
all?
what am I doing?
Nothing.
Okay, exactly. I'm not trying to step on your parade or ruin your parade. Rain on your parade. There we go.
Yeah. I think we're the better team. Good one, James. Huh? What time today is he ordering room service at his cabana?
Yeah, he might need to kind of stay away from a microphone.
Anyway. How you doing, Chris?
I'm good, Mark.
Haven't been with you in a while to do a show. Back on the stream, if you go to the YouTube page, we're back on the stream.
I almost forgot how to do this. It's been so long.
Yeah. It was a week ago Friday was the last show in studio, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, a week ago last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to be back for a couple of days and then leaving again. But
you and me both.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be going to Auburn, UCF in the regional there. They'll play NC State on Friday. In baseball, the Gators and the Seminoles host. Miami's going up to Gainesville to play in the regional there. And Chris is leaving the country.
Going to Bogota, Colombia.
He didn't say Boca.
Bogota.
We're back together for a couple of days. Yes, you can check out the stream, which is back up on our YouTube page, or get it via Twitter at 96.9 Game On. So,
yes, I'm excited for the show within the show today as well.
Yes. So, Chris ordered, and what has come in today for you?
It is Black Death candy.
Is that a panda bear? What is that?
No, it's a skull crying because it's sour. It's like the world's most sour candy. It's like the world's most sour candy.
And how did you learn about this?
Just scrolling through social media.
And you said, I'm going to order.
I think so. The goal is.
You haven't tested it.
No.
And
the goal is you're supposed to like suck on it for 20 seconds and not make a face.
And we're going to do this?
I'm going to do it.
Wow. Okay. So, this is
right up my alley.
It's risky. Like, what if you get sick?
That would make you happy, doesn't it?
No. Like, I need someone to finish doing the show. Who cares about your health? It's just who's going to finish the show. Someone's got to press the buttons over there. We can call 911. That's easy. That's not a problem.
I'm sure there's
Do you
someone.
have milk or something to kind of? I mean,
Nope, nothing.
how long? Like, are you supposed? So you said 20 seconds, then
20
it kicks
seconds.
in.
I people. I
So it's
mean,
a hard
people.
piece of candy.
Yes,
Yeah, and
people
people
make
want
sec or people make faces within seconds.
within seconds. Okay.
So I need to
And
go.
are you committed to? I mean, you're not going to keep this in your mouth if you feel like you're in danger here, right? You're going to
No.
spit it out, right?
Yes,
Huh.
but I think I could go the full 20 seconds, and then I'll go as long as I can without making a face.
Mm.
But I am confident. I drink balsamic vinaigrette after I eat my salad.
What do you
Love
mean you drink it?
like from the bowl.
Oh, I thought you meant like you open up a bottle and chug it. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
No, I'll drink balsamic vinaigrette. I love my sour beers.
Can I tell you a story about a teacher that got suspended in middle school?
Jesus.
The middle school that I went to?
Yes.
You know the red hot balls?
Mhm.
Okay.
Fireballs.
Fireball, right? So he didn't like that in I forget what class American history or something. Um, he got upset because somebody had brought candy into the room and was handing out red hot balls. So he called the kid up. He wasn't a good friend of mine, but I knew. Called him up to the front of the room and made him put as many into his mouth as he can. Okay. And the kid kind of had a bad reaction. The teacher got suspended for like a week.
Wow.
He goes, okay, get up here, put as many in your mouth as you can. And, you're an idiot like me going, yeah, more, more. And then you're like, is he dead? That's probably not good. And then all of a sudden you look at the teacher like, you're in trouble, man. And like every kid was like, I'll be a witness. Yeah. He got suspended for like a week, the teacher. Yeah.
Could you imagine if that happened today?
Yeah, he'd be in jail in a lead story on cable news. Yeah.
Teaching license revoked.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, all right. So we'll do this at some point in the show today. On the program, Matt and Michelle's coming by for his weekly visit. We'll chat with him at about 10:40 today. Chris Latville is going to join us. He's a Pinellas County Commissioner. Why is he joining us? He was like the most vocal guy, Chris, in the never-ending battle of the Rays in St. Pete. And he's now an observer because of what's happening in Hillsborough County. And if you missed it late last week, remember they passed that MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding. But two of the city commissioners in Tampa said, I'm only voting to extend the conversation. Like I'm a hard no. Their stadium deal's in trouble. And the Rays have now said they're not adding any more to it. So I want somebody else who's been through this, and Chris has been through this, he's going to join us to talk about what the challenges are and a bit of advice to Orlando, who may be sitting here going, okay, what happens? Because it looks as if the Rays have said, I don't know if we're going to go any further. So we'll talk to Chris a little bit in the 10 o'clock hour. But first, it's everybody's favorite segment.
It's almost like an unwritten rule that when you become a father, you become king of the bad dad jokes.
What is Forrest Gump's password? One Forrest one.
Are you ready to laugh? We know at least one person is. Here's CB's dad joke of the day.
Oh, that's so great.
I just put the windbreaker on because I was wearing a white shirt and I looked like a ghost in the stream. So I put this windbreaker on. So
No, you don't have any like Eastern Conference Finals or Eastern Conference champion New York Knicks shirts already ordered?
no, I was going to wear another shirt that I'll explain next segment, but yeah.
All right. Well,
Job's not done. Just, anyway, go ahead.
all right. Mark, what invention was more useful than the first telephone?
I don't know, Chris. What invention was more useful than the first telephone?
The second telephone. Get it?
Go ahead, explain it.
You know, what do you need the first telephone for? Who are you calling? Who are you calling?
Unbelievable. It may be a self-serving double shot Tuesday, but too bad.
For the audience, one more time, can you explain what Double Shot Tuesday is today? Because some people
Why?
apparently don't get it.
Why? What are we getting requests for?
Down on the Farm, Tim McGraw,
It's just songs.
Billy Joel, Why Should I Worry?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, it's just songs that have New York in the title or, in the lyrics. That's all. Can we just let the great Billy Joel just sing for a few seconds here with little New York State of Mind as the Knicks go to the NBA Finals? Billy? Now just pay $5,000 to get into a game, and then that's just all it is.
Now, I do want to ask for a clarification.
Yeah.
No one's texted it in yet, but now I'm thinking about it. Would you consider Empire State of Mind, Jay-Z?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows what he means.
Okay.
Yeah.
Technically, New York.
5-0.
Not in the title.
Okay. I mean, just a reference, okay?
Okay. I'm just one
Okay,
clarification.
All right.
I don't want to rain on your parade.
Ain't no parade. You got to win 4 more games for there to be a parade. Got to win 4 more games. Coming up on 10 o'clock hour, WYJM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach. By the way, the show with the show and Chris will eat, what is it now?
Black Death Candy.
What'll be his final show ever producing. We'll do that at about 10:55. Okay, after Matt Michelle.
Okay.
And then if someone else has to produce the 11 o'clock hour, well, so be it.
I'll be fine.
Okay.
I'll be fine.
All right. That's fine. That's fine. Can I just walk you through Sunday?
Okay.
So one of the great differences, American sports, European sports, and particularly in this country, we do not understand relegation and promotion. We don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in Major League Baseball and the NFL, you don't have a bad year and you get relegated to a league below. But in European soccer and world soccer, there's promotion relegation. So, Chris, Tottenham is my favorite Premier League team. They've never been relegated, and here they are going into the final day of the season on Sunday. And they are in 17th place, 18th, 19th, and 20th get relegated. The 19th and 20th place teams, they're already going down. There's nothing. So West Ham, who's 5 miles away from Tottenham Stadium, okay, and each sits 60, 70 plus thousand people, and they're 5 miles away. If you ever want to be amazed, go look at Premier League soccer stadiums, see how close some are to each other, okay? And Tottenham needs at least a draw. They need a tie to stay up. West Ham needs to win their match and hope Tottenham loses. The only way. And the drama, because this is all that's left at the bottom when it comes to relegation promotion, is going on. And all 10 matches in the Premier League start at the same time. They all start at the same time so that you can see with the score, no one can tank on anything like that. And the thought of Tottenham being sent down, again, it never happened. So I'm sitting there watching this match and explain to my wife everything that's going on. And it's nerve-wracking, man. 0-0, both matches are 0-0, all different scenarios and so forth. Then Tottenham scored late first half. They lead 1-0. They hadn't won a match at home since early December. Since early December, they hadn't won a match at home. Okay? Better than
We're
6
in,
months.
Mid-May?
Right. I won a match at home until December. So they lead. Then West Ham scores. They score again. So now West Ham needs Orlando City, Tottenham to lose. And Tottenham's up 1-0. And the nerves of being up 1-0, the opposition can score. and then stoppage time ends up going a lot longer. Anyway, Tottenham wins. So they stay up, and then West Ham gets relegated. And West Ham has a gorgeous stadium, seats, I think, over 70,000 people. And for them to go down is hilarious because, and just it would have been for Tottenham. Because largest stadium, or one of the largest stadiums, drawing 70,000 people a game to go down a level to play against some of the teams. They're going to play some teams that draw like 5,000 people a game. That, Chris, and it's the beauty of relegation promotion. There's 10 divisions of English soccer. And like if you're in the 10th division, it'd be like you, me, and 9 guys here going to play somebody at the 7-Eleven across Maitland Boulevard, okay? But the beauty is that you could play your way up. And there truly are some teams that play in the second or championship division that their stadium is in a small little town, be like Castleberry having its own team. And it would have been either West Ham or Tottenham. You draw 70,000 people a game, and when you go play on the road, you're like, where the hell are we? Right? And that's the beauty of European soccer when you get relegation and promotion. So that was driving me crazy Saturday morning. Just nerve-wracking. Which American sports fans don't have relegation and promotion. So you don't have that part of it. And to go down, it like I played the clip on the bridge of the world's richest game, where getting relegated is better than $250 million to Hull City because of the media money they make and licensing. Going down, even though there's a quote golden parachute, it's thought that the loss is it's better than $300+ million because most of your players want out. They don't want to play. If they're not playing Premier League soccer, then they want out. And now they got to fight to get back in next year. So, brutal.
Wow. I almost think something like that would work here with some of these owners that don't spend a lot of money on their teams to keep them from going to the minors.
But the structure of our pro sports isn't such that you'd have relegation promotion. I mean, the idea was would MLS either buy or merge or get a partnership with USL Soccer to have relegation. And USL has relegation promotion, but it's not MLS. There is no top-level sport in this country that would ever think about it because of the ramifications financially, of falling down.
Well, it would almost make these owners spend more money.
And that's the beauty of relegation promotion in world soccer. So I said this to Kelly, and I'm pivoting here to basketball. If you're a Magic fan and you watch the Knicks and the Spurs and OKC, okay, it should be a reminder that they have a lot of work to do. Because as the speculation's out there about who the Magic are going to name as their next head coach, and there's all sorts of stuff that people are throwing out about there, that Jeff Van Gundy, I mean, the idea of a Van Gundy coaching the Magic again is a little bit comical, right? It's a little bit comical. And by the way, I don't think Jeff Van Gundy would be a bad choice. Billy Donovan, I'm not anti-Billy. I don't know, based on what's happened the last decade. But whoever it is, they're going to inherit a team that right now you don't anticipate making a major change. Meaning the core players certainly look as if they're going to be back. Anything can happen, and if you watch, and I admit the Knicks are in a shooting zone right now that they never want to wake up from until they win 4 more games. But if you watch tonight, and at the pace that the Spurs and Thunder have been playing through the first 4 games of the series, and the pace that the Knicks have played now for the last 2.5 rounds, okay? If you're honest with yourself, that's not how the Magic have played. And you say, okay, well, the next coach has to think about pace, and you got to figure out how to use guys like Paolo and Franz, assuming that they're healthy. Right? If you can't make shots, you can't win. Right? You can't win. It should be a reminder, if you're watching these games, that the Magic have to become a better shooting team. Otherwise, you cannot win. You have to have, you got to have guys in your starting line that can make threes, but you got to have guys off the bench that don't do anything else. Just shoot threes, right? I mean, seriously, Deuce McBride and Landry Shamet for the Knicks. And same deal with San Antonio and Oklahoma City. They just have three-point shooters. You need them to be consistent to make shots in big moments. And if you can't win. And that should be a reminder that regardless of who they hire as a coach, okay, Chris, I think you'll agree, that coach is not going to make player blank 8% better in three-point shooting, right? I mean, you can diagram plays to get guys open, screens, pin downs, all sorts of stuff you can do, but you've got to find better shooters. Otherwise, you cannot win. It's great to have a Wemby. It's great to have a Brunson and can do things like that. You got to have shooters. Otherwise, you just cannot win. You just cannot win. Tonight, Game 5 of the Spurs and Oklahoma City. Can I just add one thing, and then we got to move. We got a couple of guests to get to, and we've talked about this. I don't think I've seen as much heat, social media negativity on a great player like we've watched with SGA now the last week.
Brings it on himself.
No, Chris, I'm with you. But it's different, and I was talking to somebody yesterday about this. Listen, Michael, all the other greats didn't deal with social media in 24/7 sports talk channel discussion, right? But now, with what he's done, I don't think the majority of people dislike him. I think the majority of people dislike this part of the game because it's getting magnified in these games that we go later in the playoffs. And you're like, dude, come on.
I'm going to get to it in on the mark, off the mark, but it's ridiculous. The amount, like, these guys don't try and score. They don't try to score.
Well, it's not these guys, him, because he's two-time MVP. It is really turned up several notches. All right, back and more of the Beat of Sports next. Talking about our friends International Diamond Center, integrity is a word that they take very serious at IDC because the company's built on a solid foundation with transparency and honesty. They do not play the let's trick you game. They do not say, let's not share what the secrets are to take advantage of its customers. Nope, they look out for your best interest. At IDC, they don't play pricing games, unlike other jewelers. Little Beastie Boys, huh?
Can't stand the Beastie Boys.
Today's Double Shot Tuesday theme. It's just songs that are about New York, and the title or lyrics. Why? Why not? Okay.
You might be upsetting the basketball gods.
Listen, everybody hates the Knicks already, so I mean, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Might be upsetting the basketball
Fat Joe,
gods.
see, Fat Joe got moved yesterday.
I did.
Thought he had a seat.
Cleveland Cavaliers disrespecting Fat Joe.
From a distance, we have watched and we've reported and covered and followed. And I don't even know why we're taking some strays from people over in the Bay Area as Hillsborough County and the city of Tampa are working with the Rays to try to figure out how to finance a baseball stadium. It's unique the way they're doing it. It's not easy. Memorandums of understanding are just that. They're not signed documents. Even the city of Tampa, a couple of commissioners acknowledged that, hey, I'll vote yes on this just to advance the discussion. And the Rays maybe have put a line in the sand going, we're not willing to commit more dollars. And I don't know where they're at. I'm not quite sure they're closer to a deal. It doesn't mean Orlando's closer to getting the Rays, but I do think it's an interesting story. Our next guest was deeply involved in trying to get a deal done with the Tampa Bay Rays when they were trying to get a deal done at St. Pete and in Pinellas County. And he sits on the commission for Pinellas County. Chris Ladvala is with us and is kind to join us. Chris, welcome. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Let me start here. Can you explain what a 30,000-foot view of being excited, talking about big projects like this, and then a 5,000-foot view of what it's like when then you have to actually put pen to paper and see if the numbers work? What is that process like?
Yeah, I mean, it's, very exciting when things get announced and, it appears that the team is going to stay. But once you get into the weeds and start negotiating billion-dollar stadium deals, it gets a lot more complicated. And usually, when we negotiated our stadium deal with the previous ownership group, it took 2 to 3 years. And so it's, usually these take, quite a bit of time, and they get very much, mired in details.
Chris, what is it like when an ownership group says, okay, we'll put some money in, but, it's easy for the non-sports fan to say, or even a sports fan to say, hey, pay for it all. How do politicians battle that by saying, well, there is a community benefit? So how do you approach that? And when an ownership group says, I'll put in, but I'll put in just so much.
Right. I mean, it is something that you have to balance. As for me, I'm a huge baseball fan, but like most politicians, there's one thing that politicians have in common, and that's they like to keep their job. And so politicians want to have something that, works for the taxpayer that they can defend when it comes, time for the election. But, having a professional sports team in your area is something that, is neat. And, not a lot of cities, have that. And, in Major League Baseball, there's only 29 other cities that are in our position. And so you don't want to be a politician that's responsible for losing a team either.
How do you also balance fiscal responsibility? I mean, again, it's easy to get fans excited, and I've watched this, and I'm sure you have from a distance, but you're closer. It's easy to get fans excited, and you get some media people behind it. Everyone attacks the Tampa Bay Times because most people, and I brought this up before, most people don't take the time to go see where their tax dollars go towards. They don't know how much that park costs. They don't understand why you've got to pay for more schools and things like that. But how do you do that when you say, look, it's a great idea, but I've got a responsibility to the people that put me in office. We have a responsibility to be smart with our money because, particularly in this case, it is trying to be real creative on how they're trying to get some dollars for this one.
Yeah, in Pinellas, it was pretty cut and dry, what the city was going to contribute, city of St. Pete, and what Pinellas County was going to contribute. In Tampa, it's, they're trying to come up with all sorts of things to add to the pot. And I do not envy the position that they're in. But also if, they're not going to do it, and they can't do it. There's, a number of cities that are waiting in the wings, whether it's Orlando, Raleigh, Charlotte, Nashville, etc. And so, it kind of puts a lot of, pressure on the, Hillsborough and Tampa politicians.
I'm going to ask you to go back and then analyze this. If there's one or two things you look back and say this could have been different, that would have got the deal done, and it's different owners. Stu Sternberg's gone, different owner. What still sticks out to you about what happened with St. Pete and Pinellas? And as you're watching what's happening in Tampa, what has surprised you? And do you think they'll get this across the finish line?
Yeah, I mean, I think the two different ownership groups make it very difficult. And then obviously the Hurricanes, put the nail in the coffin with the previous ownership group. But I'm not sure if those Hurricanes didn't happen, if they were ever going to go forward with their end of the deal. I think at the end of the day, they will figure something out in Tampa and they'll stay in Tampa. But I think if they don't, the likelihood that they'll go to Orlando, goes up exponentially. I think that Orlando would be the, likely landing spot for the Rays.
If you were to give advice to Orange County leaders, what would you tell them?
That, stadium deals are very difficult, and it's not just, giving money to a stadium deal and an owner. It's, all sorts of negotiations and doing, parking and ticket sales and licensing deals and all sorts of different things, CapEx expenditures. And so it's, it doesn't just take, TDC funds and you're done, because, sports owners nowadays want to be able to develop around their stadium like Battery Park in Atlanta. And so, it takes a lot of land around the stadium to attract an owner. And so, sports teams are a lot different than they used to be.
Are you of the group that believes, and I'm sure you looked at so many different economic impact studies, that arenas and stadiums do have an economic boom, that it is a wise investment?
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as the owner and the team puts forward a good percentage of the investment, I think it's a good economic driver for that community, especially if it's, an NFL team, for instance, that can attract Super Bowls, or a baseball stadium that can attract All-Star games or World Baseball Classic, things like that. And, it also is a sense of community pride, because you don't want to be a city that loses a team, because you're never going to, get that team back.
Tampa Bay's got a lot of decisions to make. I mean, the Bucks clearly have made it clear that they need some money. The Lightning may have been the smartest people to get to the dollars early. I mean, you're laughing, but it is interesting, the dynamics of what's happened, because yes, I know they're trying to get to the finish line with the Rays, but the Bucks want their share of money as well. So the stars are either lining or colliding here, Chris, are they not?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I'm a Pinellas County commissioner, not a Hillsborough County commissioner. And, because they do have important decisions to make. And, I'm not sure what they're going to do, because at the end of the day, somebody's going to be upset with them, but that's part of the job that they signed up for. Nobody made them run for office.
Chris, fan feedback in Pinellas County and St. Pete has been what over the last year plus, where it became inevitable, hey, they're done. They're not looking at St. Pete anymore. Has that fan attitude changed? Or are people still blaming people like yourself that it fell apart? Or was it Stu Sternberg kind of made it easy to pick a side?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people realize that it was Stu Sternberg's fault. People in St. Pete are, somewhat disappointed, especially if they live or have businesses around the Trop. But the further north you go to Pinellas, and I represent the Clearwater area, And a lot of my constituents live closer to where the stadium will be in Tampa than they do the Trop.
Mm-hmm.
And so, not only do they not have to pay for the stadium, they're actually going to be closer to it. So, I don't think they really mind that the stadium will be in Tampa because that's where the Lightning play, that's where the Bucks play, and Pinellas, still has beautiful beaches and museums, and our tourism continues to break records in Pinellas County.
If they truly are stuck and somebody called you and said, would you re-engage in conversation, you'd say what to the Rays?
I mean, I would, but they haven't had any indication that they're that they want to come back. There hasn't been any discussions with the Rays. In regards to St. Pete.
If they pass the deadlines that they say and they need a place to play in 29, what do you say?
I mean, I think the logical solution would be a short-term extension of the lease at the Trop, and I would be supportive of that.
And you think they'll figure this out?
I do, because, as I said before, you don't want to be the politician who's known for being responsible for a team leaving the area. And so you don't want to be the guy in Tampa that is known for the Rays, leaving Tampa Bay.
Do you think, at least the deal reported, that the Rays are offering a fair share towards the project?
Yeah, I do believe that the Rays are offering a lot in addition to all the redevelopment around the stadium. And so, and that would be a little bit more than what Stu Sternberg offered, in the St. Petersburg deal. The one part that I don't understand is the difference in the price between the stadium in St. Pete and the stadium in Tampa. Because the St. Pete Stadium was estimated at like $1.3 billion, and the one in Tampa is at like $2.3 billion. And so I don't know where the difference in price comes from, and I don't know if that's inflation or the different kind of materials that they're using or what.
Do you think that Major League Baseball is waiting for this to get resolved before they move forward on expansion because of the potential cities involved if they were to relocate?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. When I spoke to Mr. Manfred last year, he, indicated that he wanted the Rays to stay in Tampa Bay. He never said that he wanted them to stay in St. Pete. He just wanted them to stay in Tampa Bay. And other people that I talked to around Major League Baseball indicated the same thing. And so I think, once this gets resolved, they'll go to expansion.
Last one. It's a curiosity question for me. Projects like this, your constituent communication to an office like yours, is it higher than anything typically, or am I overreading it as a sports fan and realize that people call your office about far more important things of their daily life?
Actual people that lived in my district, the numbers weren't really that high. But I did have a lot of sports fans throughout Tampa Bay that would contact me about it, and I would still enjoy, reading their opinions. But actual people that lived in my district, there were issues that were far more higher up on their list.
Chris Latvala is Pinellas County commissioner, was heavily involved in the years of negotiations for the Rays, and they couldn't get a deal done. And now observes what's happening over in Hillsborough County and Tampa. Chris, thank you. Appreciate the info.
Thank you. Go night.
He's a proud UCF grad, so there's the
nice
little drop in there. And he was a really key person that would look at numbers and just say, you got to at some point put pen to paper and start to add things up. He would know better than me, and I've said that. I think they'll figure it out in Tampa and Hillsborough County. I think they'll each move a little bit, and they'll get it done. But that hearing last week didn't lead to anything that was an indication about getting a deal done. And if the Rays, and it's all part of negotiation, but say, no, we're not committing any more dollars, I don't know. And then they do get stuck. And they do have to think about calling Pinellas back and go, might need a short-term lease to get this result, which was always expected to be the thought in the process. And, as he suggested, any advice to Orange County? And again, this is not anything anti-Dreamers. It's just there's two different things going on here. Either one, you're pursuing an expansion team, and that would only happen if the Rays relocate outside the state. The other is a pursuit of an existing franchise, which means you're not buying the team. That then becomes a county decision about putting a stadium deal in place, which is a long, 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 long way to go. Than either people that want to be elected to certain positions in politics in this area or people in position. It's not just like, okay, we'll get together at 2:00 today and get it done. I think you can observe if you're in Orange County in Orlando and watch closely. And if you've had any interest, hopefully those parties have done a little bit more. Then wouldn't that be kind of neat? I'm not quite sure they've gotten to that point yet. And I do think they'll figure it out in Hillsborough County and Tampa. But not as smooth as maybe they thought it was going to be. Why? Because at some point, someone goes, listen, these numbers need to work, and they don't seem to be working. But what often happens is people that know they won't be in office in 10, 20, 30 years when all these bills are due, you vote yes, because as Chris said, you don't want to be the one that was responsible for a team moving out of your town. Matt Michelle is next. Yeah, I admit it's a self-serving double shot Tuesday. Songs about New York. I do think an underappreciated song, Don Henley. Yeah.
I don't think I've heard this song.
You know who Don Henley is, right?
Nope.
Look up Boys of Summer. Got it?
Not in here.
What?
The Boys of Summer.
Yeah, The Boys of Summer.
Okay,
Okay,
I
play
looked up
it.
Boys of Summer.
Okay, play it, and then you'll know Don Henley.
All
Yeah?
right.
You know this song?
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, I know.
Eagles, Don Henley. Sorry, it's not Wolf Mother. Let's get to Matt Michelle.
This segment is presented by Bowegan's Beer Company.
Green inside.
Let's tackle the latest news from UCF and around the world of college football with the Orlando Sentinel's very own Matt Michelle.
Give him the Heisman now.
Hit up Matt on Twitter at OS Matt Michelle.
I co-founded the Eagles, and Chris has no clue. Matt Michelle, what am I working with here for crying out loud? It's unbelievable.
I'm sorry. Did I just hear that he didn't know who Don Henley was?
No idea. Nope. Thought he was third baseman for the Phillies.
Dirty Laundry, Boys of Summer.
Just no idea.
I mean,
No.
that's a soundtrack of my youth.
Unbelievable. Anyway. All right, Matt, let's dive into a few things. Let's talk, if we can. First, UCF softball got to Super Regional, lost to UCLA. No shame in that. Didn't end well for them the way the two games went. But they got to Super Regional. Now UCF baseball goes to regional on Friday against NC State playing in Auburn. Some thoughts?
Yeah, just what a spring for UCF when it's sports. If you think about it, you talked about softball, baseball. I think I'm finishing up a story on rowing, going to the national championships. I mean, this has been a solid performance right now for UCF. I thought softball again. What an effort to go out to Los Angeles. They just faced probably one of the more dominant softball programs in the country. I mean, UCLA with its hitting, they lead the country in home runs. You saw that over the weekend. Their pitching, Taylor Tinsley, was unbelievable. She's pitched like 8-9 straight games in a row going into there. They just didn't have any answers for UCF, but still a good way to finish the season and a good way to kind of continue to build the foundation for the program as they move forward. And for baseball, you get a chance now. You get back to the NCAA tournament. You go to Auburn. You're leaving the state for the first time since I think it was 2001. Now you've got a chance to maybe make some noise, in the NCAA tournament. And this UCF team has been kind of a road warriors of such, with the way they've performed in the Big 12 conference this year. So hopefully they can carry that over into going on the road and facing a good Auburn team and a good NC State team, which has a lot of connections to the UCF program with some coaches on it who were members of UCF in the past.
Yeah, 2001 to me is the greatest UCF team I ever saw. Was a one seed on the road in Columbia, which is not possible to happen anymore. But back then, you could put a one seed on the road. It was a 6-team regional. They went to South Carolina, and I will never forget the little kids throwing pennies and broken bottles at UCF players in the on-deck circle. But that was then. I don't want to digress. But things have changed. I want to ask you something. I'm sure you saw this. Jason Williams, a former basketball player, played at Florida, played in the NBA. His daughter, Mia Williams, played at Florida, transferred to Texas Tech. It was an ugly scene this past weekend. Texas Tech goes back to play Florida. They did win the Super Regional there. It was tense. There were things said on both sides, comments, and really some harsh stuff. Jason Williams put a video out yesterday that included a little bit of profanity. I did have to laugh about this. I don't profess to know everything about it, but and I am a proud Florida graduate. You cannot say she left to chase the bag. Like, you're acting like Florida doesn't spend money in its softball team, and who doesn't chase the bag, for crying out loud?
Yeah, that to me is shows the ugly side of what with the portal and everything and what's going on lately. That you get this reaction. Come on, it's like you said, every program in the country practically, especially in the power conferences, they spend money. They're going to go out and they're going to offer players what they think is what they deserve to come play for them. I mean, everyone does it. You know what I mean? And it's and think about the idea that you're gonna act so hoity-toity that you think that how dare you leave us to go to go chase money. I mean, any one of those people in the stands, any one of those players on the field would do the same thing. If someone offered you $2 million to pitch, or $1.5 million, or whatever it is, to pitch, and fulfill your dreams and try to go for a World Series championship, you would take that money in a heartbeat, because it's hard to turn that stuff away. But this is the ugly side of what happens with the portal and NIL and money and the money that's being spent. And when you have a program like Texas Tech, and let's be honest, we've talked about this in football, that's willing to spend money, has the resources to spend a lot of money, it shows the ugly side. But we're talking about not welcoming someone back to say, oh my gosh, you did great things for us. We appreciate what you did for us. We understand you're pitching against us. It's tough for us to admit that, but to take it to the player, to call our names, to have the families get into scuffles. I mean, it's an ugly look, and it's not what I'm sure anyone wants to see.
I want to play you something next. This was Iowa State Athletic Director Jamie Pollard from last week, and his frustration of the ongoing whatever we are in college sports these days. And he was pretty strong about his comments towards we know what two conferences.
It's frustrating because collectively the four conferences created the CSC, and we spent a lot of money. The four commissioners spent a lot of money creating the CSC. And so then to have two of the conferences not want to adhere to it is perplexing to me, because then it's like, well, why did we spend the money? If you didn't want rules, then why did you create this entity? That's what's frustrating to me. The same people that say they want rules only want rules if they don't apply to them. I mean, I said it 3 years ago. Yeah. Let them break away. I'd say I would turn it around and say we should break away from them. Let them go, but they have to go in all their sports and see how fun it is to play baseball and softball and track when it's just the 20 of you.
So Jamie Pollard kind of clarified. He wasn't. I think he was trying to cover what, but well, I didn't really mean it. But you know what he meant, and yet he echoes a lot of Matt mid-level P4, lower-level P4 programs that know what's happening around them. So what were your thoughts on Pollard's comment last week?
I think it was in a way refreshing. He was being honest. He was like, listen, if the higher ups, if the Big Ten and the SEC aren't going to follow these rules and rules that they all agreed upon. Remember now, this is everyone sat down and worked this out and decided this was the best format or the best way for everyone to go about moving forward. If you're not going to do that, or the higher up programs or whatever's involved, why should we have to do that? Why are we going through this? And why do we have to be held hostage in a way by the Big Ten and the SEC? Why are we doing this? This is the thing that's troubling over the last couple months is, this idea of now it's more and more of you see fracturing everywhere, where it's like, okay, we're tired of this. We're tired of having to be at the beck and call of the Big Ten and Tom and Eddie. We're tired of that. We're tired of the SEC and how they're doing. We want to find a way what's best for us. Now, in the end, it's all probably going to come together and work out. But right now, you can see the frustration you mentioned on some of these programs that aren't, let's just say, the top of the echelon of the Power Four conferences they're in. They're struggling with some of this, and they're like, listen, we have to deal with this. We're dealing with this right now. Why should we be the ones that have to listen to this when clearly you should be following the rules as well? And it's definite frustration. I'm sure across the board at every level of how we're doing things, how we're supposed to be doing things, how revenue sharing is supposed to work, how it's supposed to be set up so that there would be guardrails. There aren't guardrails there, and how everything is supposed to have happened. And it's really tough. I mean, what's lost a little bit all this is that think about the G6 schools and the conferences, which now are going, hey man, you can understand why they're looking around thinking maybe we should start our own playoff. Maybe we should do, maybe because they're looking around thinking, well, there's no way we're going to compete with all this. I mean, so I can see his frustration. I can see Jamie's frustration, and I understand why. There's probably a lot of ADs who think that way. probably aren't willing to go forward and talk about it publicly because they want to follow the line of the conference. But it's frustration because this process has not gone as smoothly as I think a lot of people thought it would.
Matt, I don't know if you watched either live or playback in long form or just clips of Greg Sankey's press conference yesterday as the SEC meetings got underway. If you did, what were your thoughts? I have a theory, but I don't want to try to push you one way or the other. But either you watched in its entirety or clips, what did you make of Sankey's comments yesterday?
Well, I think Greg's trying to make it clear that, the SEC doesn't need to necessarily follow suit with the Big Ten. It doesn't necessarily need to do that. Especially we're talking about the playoff. It's like, listen, we're happy. He said this for about, last years is that, when it was a 14 playoff, he was all like, we're fine with 14. We'll stay with 14. And then they expanded it to 12. And he said, listen, we're fine with 12. If we want to expand it, we'll expand it. He's not been a big believer of, okay, let's just do it for the sake of doing it. And you can see, we talk about frustration. You can see a little frustration there talking about going to 24 and how the Big Ten has said, oh, no, we've never talked about 16 teams. And he said, well, that's funny because you pitched it. You're the ones that pitched the 16 team, expanding to 16 teams. So you can see a little bit of frustration there on his part that, listen, we're gonna do what's best for us. Although he did talk a lot about how they're not going to, expansion of the playoff is really not going to be a major talking point this week. He tried to downplay how there wasn't going to be a lot of discussion this week. My guess is there's going to be, there's going to be talks about it. There's going to be talks about the direction of, as we just mentioned, how things are going with, with the system, revenue sharing and everything like that, how coaches are feeling, and ADs and how the conference, the SEC has always been the leader, when it comes to doing things in this sport. And at some point they're going to have to figure out, do they want to continue to be the leader or do they want to kind of follow suit in what the Big Ten is doing? And it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what some of the ADs and coaches this week have to say about it.
Yeah, I think he chose to have a more calm approach. And I think, and who knows, we got a couple days of this. I think his message to the member schools was, let's tone it down. Let's not come across as a big bully and let's not come across as fighting with the Big Ten. And I thought that was by design. With that, the Big 12 gets together later this week. Do you anticipate anything out of that later this week?
I think what'll be interesting, I know we get, Brett Yormark speaks on Friday after they wrap things up. I think they'll talk about the 2014 playoff. I think Yormark has mentioned before he's in favor of it. It'll be interesting to see, why, what are some of the reasons behind being favor of it, what he thinks is really going to happen with that. It'll be interesting to see, just overall the conference, where he thinks that the conference wants to be at. There's talks about, he's talked before about splitting up the men's basketball and the rest of the media rights deal, to try to have two media rights deals with basketball and the other sports, and it'll be in football. And it'll be interesting to see, if they talk a little bit about that. We're supposed to speak with the men's and women's basketball coaches. They're big groups this week. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about expansion of the basketball tournament as well. So, I don't expect there to be anything, that's going to be scandalous or anything like that. But I think, Brett's going to promote the conference as best he can and say, we're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that we're right up there. We're continuing to strive to find the way to be what's best. I'm sure the thing that will be asked possibly, and by some people, is about, private equity, the deal they worked out and how that they expect to help, kind of generate a little additional revenue streams for some of the schools that'll help them maybe try to contend a little bit with the SEC and the Big Ten. So I think those will be maybe the major talking points this week.
All right, Matt. Thank you. Always appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Matt Michelle. Follow him and support his work on X or Twitter, OS Matt Michelle. Chris, you ready?
I'm ready.
Show within the show. If you're on the stream, stay there. If you're not, you can go to the YouTube page. Go to YouTube and click on 90 or go to 96 on the Game Orlando. Click on the logo, the live button. The show within the show. Catch it on X or Twitter. 96 on Game On, and Chris is going to do something dangerous.
Black Death candy.
Going to eat some Black Death candy. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe the news is not going to happen when we come back on the radio show, but we'll get to all that coming up.
Oh man.
So
Now-
that's it?
Now that the time's here, I'm kind of nervous.
You are?
I am.
So hold the wrapper up again. So this is can't really see with the light.
There we
Okay.
go. Oh, that's upside down. There we go.
So what color is the candy?
Black.
Black.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it expensive? What'd you pay for this?
$5.
Okay. And you get one?
One.
Did it come in like a sealed thing? Like
No.
my Cola Guard had to go out? Yeah.
Oh hell. Might
Hard
need
to
scissors.
open here.
Yeah. Might need to go get scissors.
A pen or something?
No, I got it.
You got it?
There's
Okay.
a lot of you see all the white sugar or whatever it is.
Okay. So the deal is what? You're supposed to
20 seconds, no face.
Oh, I gotta time this here? Okay. And then what? You just suck on it like a charm or
I
something?
guess. All right, you ready?
Is it in your hand? Is it
My
burning
hand.
your hand?
No.
All right, go
Here
ahead.
we go. You ready?
Let's see what happens within 20
1,
seconds.
2, 3.
You feel anything?
Mhm.
You do?
Mhm.
Yeah. Warm?
Like a lemon.
Feel like it's Willy Wonka and you're just trying the everlasting gobstopper.
Mm.
Bad? Nothing yet?
Nothing.
Nothing? Well, you're 20 seconds in.
This is disappointing.
What do you taste?
Tastes like a lemon,
Yeah.
like a warhead.
Not getting any stronger? Maybe you just got a stomach of steel, man. Maybe you're just a machine.
Very disappointing.
Is it sour?
It's sour.
Yeah. No burning, no uncontrolled.
Should I take the rest of this sugar and just pour it in?
Sure. Not my mouth. Not my body. What the hell do I care? Go ahead. Now, if this leads to something, then I guess you were supposed to do it in the first place. So
No,
just sour, like a sour candy.
Yeah.
Sour head.
like a warhead. That's disappointing.
Nothing
That's
else.
very disappointing. That's it. I'm very upset. Wasted $5.
So it's just a really sour candy.
Yeah.
Well, this is pretty deflating.
I know. I'm very
I
upset.
think the audience was looking for me to pass out or something. Nothing.
I mean, I'll show you videos of
Ah.
people just spazzing out.
Right.
It's nothing. I'm very upset.
But you like spicy and no.
I don't do spicy.
Sour?
Sour, yes.
Okay.
I'm very
So
upset.
you're saying no different than a sour
Yeah.
candy. Huh. Wow. You're the better man.
I guess. Kind of upset.
Like you haven't even grabbed to drink anything. No water, no milk or anything. If you were
Nope.
Yeah, nothing.
Mm-mm.
Wow.
Very disappointed.
Hmm.
I guess I should have played it up.
No, I mean I don't want you to fake it. If that's how it tastes, that's how it tastes.
Very upset.
Huh.
You want to
Yeah.
try it? I'll order one. I'll order one.
Do I
for
want to
you.
try it? Yeah, Chris, spit yours out and I'll finish it.
I'll order you one.
How much of it's left? Is it getting smaller? That's good. Take it out of your mouth and can't see. Yeah. No, I'm good, man.
Looks like an olive.
Just a regular piece of sour candy.
Yep.
Wow. Well,
I should sue them for false advertising.
we really broke you two with that one, huh? Really impressed people.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was anticlimactic.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what would have been better? Broccoli. That we had facial expressions. That we had you moaning and crying like a little wimp. That was better.
disgusting.
Stir fry with the cauliflower rice. That was better than this. This is nothing.
Very disappointed.
Well, yeah.
I apologize.
See, now let me go back and let me pick out the food. Yeah. This is nothing. This is a waste of the audience time. Yeah. Very depressing.
I didn't know what to expect.
Did it come in like a warning box and everything?
No.
No. All right.
I'm sorry.
Weak.
I know.
Won't be posting this
Well,
on.
There's another one that I've seen that comes with a neutralizer to put in a water bottle because it's so sour.
Now we're talking.
All right, that's what I need. Send me that one.
Yeah, that's got the potential of like real physical damage to him. Yeah, that's the one we want. Let's get that one. Yeah, like a real chance he's hospitalized. Let's go with that one. Yeah, send that information to Chris. Text 50857 now. All right.
I apologize.
News coming up.
All right.
Let's really do the news.
Yes. Now it is time to do the news.
But now it's time for the news.
11 o'clock hour, WYGM Orlando, WJR HD2 Cocoa Beach. And coming off the world's worst show within the show ever, we're back with the news at the top of the hour.
I can't be held responsible.
No, I mean, maybe you're just really tough. You can handle all that sour stuff.
I am tough.
Is it still going?
No, I mean, it's
Flavor's gone? You paid $5, huh? You're more
did.
ticked off about that.
Yeah.
Aren't you? Yeah. Oh,
very
wow.
disappointing. That's $5.
Knicks win the Eastern Conference. They blow out the Cavaliers 130-93. Knicks were down 5-0 to start the game. And the Cavalier crowd was into it, but it didn't take long before the Knicks began making shots and getting out on fast breaks and all sorts of stuff and blow out the Cavaliers and do it in impressive fashion. Chris, this is the clip that went viral on Sunday. This is Kenny Atkinson. This is after the Cavaliers go down 3-0, and he says this to the media.
Analytically, I think we won the expect. I said 3 out of 3. We're 2 out of 3 in the expected. I don't know if you guys follow that. So that's an expected score. And we won 2 out of 3.
Chris, you can't say that, right? I mean, you just can't.
What does
do
that even mean? What does that even mean?
The thing is, if you're going to say that, and went viral, you have to come back in the same clip and go, but that doesn't matter because we don't keep score that way. So even though we may have done some good things, we're not doing enough of them because we're down 0-3 in the series. But he doubled down.
I know you're looking confused, but no, I'm not. There is really, if you believe in process and all that, like man up.
So if I believe in process, then Sam Hinkie had a dynasty with the Sixers. Right? I mean, if I believe in the process and everything. But Atkinson wasn't done. Okay? He came back at it after game 4 yesterday to explain why the Cavaliers may have lost this series. It really wasn't because of the Knicks' dominance.
I'll tell you what didn't help was losing those 2 game 6s. Haven't been in this, kind of a long time and seen this before. I think you have to take advantage of those opportunities, and the way the scheduling's set up in the league, and that's a whole nother topic I could go off on.
Go ahead. We've got time. You don't have another game. Go ahead. Explain. Yes, you're right. And by the way, I think Kenny Atkinson's a pretty good coach. Not his finest moment in this series, okay? But when you say, well, lost the game 6, had to play game 7. That's how it works. Okay? That's how it works. Fastest to win 4 out of 7 games wins. And if you didn't close it out, then that's really on you, right?
That's a you problem.
I mean, that, yeah. I just want to check in one more time with James Harden. How did the series, James, go for you?
It was just a piece to fulfill whatever needs to be fulfilled. And, defensively being extremely solid, offensively, getting guy shots and fitting into.
Worst rated defensive player in the series.
Don't tell Coach Kenny that.
The worst defensive player in the series. And just a little bit more on James Harden on comparing the two teams.
You know, obviously they dominated us 4-0, but yeah, I don't know if I can necessarily answer that question. Just because genuinely I do feel like we are the better team.
You can't say that. You can't. You can say, look, in the regular season, I think we were the better basketball team, but you're not measured by that. You're measured by what happens in the playoffs, and we got smoked in 4 games, so we got to take it.
Yeah, you're swept 4-0. You lose by what? Almost 40.
They lost by 37 points last night. Yeah.
So you lose by nearly 40 in an elimination game at home, but you think you were the better team.
Yeah. Tough one, man. It's a tough one. Meanwhile, Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals tonight in Oklahoma City. San Antonio and the Thunder tied at 2. NBA Finals will begin on June the 3rd, which means the Knicks are off until next Wednesday. Yeah. NHL playoffs last night. Carolina in overtime beats Montreal 3-2. They go up in that series 2-1 tonight. The Las Vegas Golden Knights look for a sweep, which would be a big upset against the Colorado Avalanche, who I thought going into the conference finals, they were the best of the 4 teams left, but not the case. We had 3 pitchers combined for a no-hitter yesterday as the Astros beat the Rangers. I know it counts, but I don't like that.
It's technically a no-hitter.
Yeah.
A combined no-hitter, but a no-hitter nonetheless.
Yeah, and it needs to be called that, which is a combined no-hitter, which to me is just always going to be different.
Can I go back to the Knicks-Cavs series real quick?
Yeah.
Are you surprised that Scott Foster wasn't asked to try and extend the series?
The extender was at Game 4 in San Antonio.
No.
The league's fine with the Knicks winning.
But sweeping?
Yeah, probably would have preferred a little bit longer, but yeah, no, the extender was sent to Game 4 in San Antonio.
Okay.
Yeah. Princeton won the lacrosse championship, beating Notre Dame yesterday, the first title since 2001. They were down 3-0 to start. Yes, the get-in price this morning to Game 3 of the NBA Finals is $3,800. The get-in price.
They're not going to make Fat Joe move.
Oh, it was a little comical and embarrassing. I mean, if you're Cleveland, and I get it, you're down 3-0, but like every Nick, quote, VIP looked like they got their same seat in Cleveland, right? I mean, it was, it was, Spike was in row 2. Fat Joe got moved to row 3. And then, as I said to Kelly, every stereotype of a New York fan and a New Yorker was on display in that arena in the second half. I mean, everything. The guy that runs numbers, that's part of a union for construction, the little kid whose dad is the hedge fund guy that got to skip school today because his dad let him go to Game 4 last night before they go back to New York on his dad's private jet. All that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. That's embarrassing for Cleveland.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else do I have here for you? 0.0233 seconds is the distance time in the Indy 500 finish, closest finish ever. Felix Rosenqvist wins the 110th Indianapolis 500 over Davis Malukas. And what else do we have? Oh, didn't do a lot, Chris, but the enhanced games got going. You know what the enhanced games are. You can take whatever you want, participate.
Whatever.
Yeah. You're encouraged to use performance-enhancing drugs to participate in the event. Swimming, track and field, weightlifting took place in Vegas. Of course it did. Yeah. Take whatever you want. They don't care.
Huh.
Yeah. On the mark, off the mark, coming up in about 25 minutes. Still to come with the Beat of Sports. It's a self-serving double shot Tuesday with the Knicks winning. It's all about New York songs. I don't think I know this. Should I know this?
It's Taylor Swift. Welcome to New York.
Oh, no, sweetheart. You sit at the Cavs game with your thing there. Sorry. No. No.
It fits double shot
Oh,
Tuesday.
it fits, but no thanks, sweetheart. You made your choice. Okay. Which, by the way, didn't come back for game 4. So we're not coming back here for that one, right? Yeah. As the SEC, as their spring meetings going on, the Big 12's later this week, and you may have read if you follow college football and basketball, you've got a GM in Texas telling you, if you're going to compete in the SEC, it's got to be at least $30 million. What your payroll is, probably 40 or 50. It's college basketball, and I've said this for years. You can freak out over college football payrolls, but you're talking about a large roster. College basketball is the one that should be eye-popping because you're now having rosters that are $15, $20 plus million in college basketball. Our next guest, I thought, wrote a really good piece on a deeper dive about what is this market. And just when you think, I don't know, maybe it's peaking, maybe it's not. Brian Roth writes for Basket Under Review, the website, which does a really good job covering the college game. And you can follow him on X or Twitter at BRAUF33. Brian, welcome. Good morning. How are you? When I say 30, 40, 50 million in football, like I said, people should take a close look. 2025 in basketball is going to become more common now, is it not?
It really is. And you've seen there's now probably 10 to 20 teams somewhere in that range that have crossed that threshold with the potential to go even higher. Because I know there are some who are at like around the 25 million spot who have their eyes on some of the guys who have very important stay or go NBA draft decisions, where if they return, those teams that have already spent 25 million want to be in the mix for those because they want to go all the way in this year. So if there's an Alan Graves or Milan Momcilovic that chooses to come back to school, they're going to command $5 million. And those schools that have already ponied up a good bit, a lot of them are ready to pony up even more. So we could see a number get over 30 as well.
Let me work around a previous piece you wrote, which I'm always fascinated. We had somebody on last week that kind of did the same thing, asking football donors. You spoke to a number of basketball donors. Why do they do this? Because, as I've said for years, there's no ROI financially. So what was common among their answers as to why somebody says, I'll give you X amount of dollars to buy players?
The underlying motivation was always, love for the school and a desire to win. There are other extracurricular factors, but that's the number one thing. I talked to some who worried about their school becoming irrelevant, where they weren't worried as much about winning to win championship as much as they were concerned about falling behind and potential divide that may happen at the top of college sports with power conferences. Didn't want to get left behind if something like that happened. There's a status element of it where they love the access that it can give them, or they love just the status they feel around other donors, where they've committed a certain amount of money to help them land this player, and so they're extra invested in that player. Some of it is more vain feelings like that, but a lot of it, at the core of it, is just wanting the school to win, and then the feelings you get that come off of that.
How did we get to this spending? Because, and you write about this, and I'm not critical of what you wrote, but the NBA's model is completely different. There's a revenue model there that says players get access to this much revenue. Everything is audited. Everybody knows what's going on, and we get a fixed amount that says it's a salary cap in here so we can pay. But there are also revenues to justify the salary expense. What's happening in college basketball now, we have programs that are spending far more than anywhere near that they make in revenue. That's not a normal market. So how did this grow so fast?
It grew so fast because there's so much interest in it, right? And I think that was kind of one of the things that we really undersold. I say we as just a collective sporting community undersold when NIL first came about, was the idea of how much interest there truly is in this and the amount of money that may have been left on the table, right? Because I wrote about in the piece, remember in 2022, when Miami signed Nigel Pack, got him to transfer from Kansas State, and Norchad Omier, who they got from Arkansas State. This was the year, ended up being the preseason before they went to the Final Four. They gave each of those guys deals for $800,000 for 2 years. It was $400,000 a year for both of them, and that blew all of our minds at the time. It was how are they making this much money, six figures? What is happening? 4 years later, if you can get a starting caliber player for $400,000 at a power conference team, you are jumping for joy thinking you just got an incredible steal. Like, that doesn't exist anymore. And so I think we underestimated the interest that there was in this sport. And while, yes, the NBA has the different revenue streams that account for the money that's being spent, they have all the guardrails in place and everything like that. College sports and colleges in general have largely existed and benefited from the generosity of donors, generosity of alumni, the generosity of people who want to be involved in that kind of community. So there is that aspect that the NBA does not truly have. I mean, there is some of it with, people who buy season tickets, people who buy the suites, people who buy the boxes, all the different kind of things, right? But you are not giving to, I live in North Carolina, you're not giving to the Charlotte Hornets expecting nothing the same way that you are giving to Duke, the same way you're giving to North Carolina, right? And so the money that people were giving, instead of going towards a general athletic fund or going to build a new building or going to improve a dorm, it's being put now towards these basketball programs, and are being put towards these football programs, and are being put towards paying players. This was something UNC athletic director Bubba Cunningham said a couple weeks ago. And so kind of the harsh truth of it is, what's more valuable to the university? Is it this smaller Olympic sport program that doesn't make a lot of money, or the point guard for North Carolina who we're going to have to pay $3 or $4 million to? The point guard, even at that price tag, is more valuable to university. And so you're seeing a lot of schools and programs and donors choose to direct their money that way. And that's something that pro sports does not have, that avenue of giving without expecting money back.
It's interesting because to me, there's a dynamic happening within the power conferences, and you write about this, and I've done stories on this as well. I think some people heard about, but maybe didn't understand Duke's decision to take a couple of games and sell it to a streamer. But as you write, this is a sign of saying, look, it's great that we're part of a conference and we'd like to think that we all lock arms and everything's equal, but I'm worth a lot more than you. And you're in Raleigh, you talk about it, an NC State with great history saying, hey, I can't keep up with them. And Duke's like, I don't have time to help you. I've got to protect my brand, and how they'll continue to seek deals that have more value that have nothing to do with us being conference partners.
Right. And the ACC is a prime example of this. Number one, because of how long the TV contract is locked in for. You've seen Clemson and Florida State both sue the conference on the football side of things, trying to do things to get more money, because it's become an arms race in all of college sports, trying to figure out how you can get as much money for this NIL war chest that teams need to have, for all the extra stuff you need. It all costs money. And how can you get more of that? And so you're starting to see teams be more creative, not relying on the conferences. And this was, I think, something that Duke and the other teams that have made up this Diamond Cup now, which involves teams like Indiana, UConn, Gonzaga, North Carolina, Michigan, some of the other top-tier programs in college basketball, where like, okay, we can get some of this money for ourselves, and if we combine our blue blood brands together, that is more valuable than some of the things we may do affiliated with the conferences. Obviously, still put the conference schedule, everything like that. But you're starting to see some of these bigger programs and bigger brands realize the true power that they have and are leveraging that for more monetary opportunities that can help them, which is just going to, I think, create a further divide between them and some of the other power conference schools even that simply don't have that same kind of brand recognition or brand value.
Maybe it's happening in football, but I'm curious your thoughts in basketball based on things like we just talked about with Duke and these other blue blood brands. As much as we may love the tournament, regardless of how big it's becoming, are we shrinking the number of teams that actually can win a championship?
I do not know, to be honest with you, because if you're looking at teams that can truly win a championship, that number of teams has traditionally always been very small. I think outside of the UConn team that won in 2014, that I think was an 8 seed, and the Villanova team that won was at 85. Outside of those, every national champion has been a top 3 or 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, right? So you're not seeing, you get the Cinderella runs from the 11 seeds that make the Final Four, or the 15 seeds that make the Sweet 16, or even 5, 6, or 7 seeds that make a Final Four. But they're not winning the championship. By and large, the teams that win a championship are 1 seeds and 2 seeds. And while there's a rotating cast of who those 1 seeds and 2 seeds are, it's generally the same group of teams. So I don't know if the teams that can win the championship are going to totally change, but I do think we may see a difference in the number of teams that can make long runs consistently. You might get a fluky nature because that's just the way college basketball is. A hot shooting night, cold shooting night. That's part of the reason we love the tournament, is the variance that is involved with it. But I don't know if the number of teams that can truly win changes unless you get a bunch of schools like Texas Tech is doing in football, where you have a mega donor who's just going to suddenly put you on the tier with the big boys. I don't know if that's happening in basketball at the same rate that it is in football.
How long before I see a $10 million player?
Probably a couple of years, to be honest. I mean, A.J. Devonta this past year was at 8. Now, not all of that came from BYU, but he was right around 8. That was the reporting. Now, there are special circumstances with that as well, but you've seen guys at the top of the transfer portal market this year get $6 million. And so if you get a dominant big man in particular, because those are the ones that the quality ones, there's more value in them because there's less of those to go around. If you get a quality big man who's projected to go maybe top 20 in the draft, and there's an offer to try and entice him to come back to school, I think you could see that getting around $10 million probably in the next 2 or 3 years.
That's incredible. I mean, it's how fast it happened. It is truly just incredible. I got 2 quick ones that are kind of related, but not to what you wrote, but you do follow this game, and you did mention this. The Diamond Cup is one of these new events that, it's going to attract blue bloods and bring them together, and the reporters to pay $4 million. I hope the college basketball media does a better job questioning that. There's no way that that's possible. There's no way. The players' era, they didn't fulfill the financial obligation, what they originally said. And there's zero chance a single event will draw $32 million just to cover the teams to play plus the additional expenses. I mean, we got to stop falling for that stuff, don't we?
I think this is a test in that, because the players' era tried to fund it, and I know there's been delays in payments and then non-payments and things like that. Not all of the players' era money that was being divvied out was coming from TV deals. Some of it was supposed to come from revenue generated in other ways for players' era that I think they overestimated. And there was a very real question as to where the money is coming from. It seems with the Diamond Cup that it's almost entirely TV funded. It's these big brands pulling themselves together to sell it to different TV networks. And now it's not just a couple of games too. It is a bit of a round robin between these 8 teams where it becomes, I think the plan for it in full force, which would be 2028, 2029 and moving on, would be 3 regular season games against other teams involved and 1 exhibition game. So each one of these teams is playing 4 games as opposed to 2 or 3 within a couple of days span in a 1 November window where there's already a ton of preseason and early season tournaments in college basketball, right? That feast week, Thanksgiving week, is just loaded with college basketball tournaments, which is great. But if you're able to get these big brands playing together consistently, again, 3 to 4 times from late October through mid-December, I think there's more TV value in that, because not only there's more product available, there's more games to broadcast, but they're spaced out a little bit more with the bigger brands. You're not having to kind of shell out for the Rutgers or the San Diego States that have come into the players' era, right? So I think that's a key difference. But again, it all sounds good right now. We'll see what happens when it comes to fruition.
Yeah, I'm still not quite sure it's worth $32 million. Plus, the last question I got for you, and I'll let you go. I don't know what's going to happen in June on the vote regarding age. It'll just lead to more lawsuits. But 2 things going to happen. Either A, Will Wade at LSU is going to have an average roster of 26 years old, or he's going to have 1 player to play for the upcoming year. What do you think happens when it comes to the age limit that we might be looking at?
I think the 5 and 5 is going to get pushed through. The international stuff is the interesting part of it. I don't know, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of fear right now about what it's going to be. my thought and kind of the common sense aspect of it is they're going to put real restrictions in place about the kind of international players that can come play college. There's talk about guys from certain leagues not being able to come over to the better leagues in Europe. I bet you that gets enacted for next offseason. I think it is too late in this offseason. We're about 2 months out from the portal opened. I think we're too late this offseason to retroactively be like, all those guys you just got, they can't actually play this year, even though the rules said they probably could have, that you've been working with for the last 2 months. I don't think that happens, but I do think it gets enacted. I would just expect it to be enacted starting next offseason as opposed to retroactively this offseason.
You can follow Brian on X or Twitter. That's at BRAUF33, and check out the work at on Twitter at basket under review for basket underscore review for basket under review, the site that covers college hoops. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Chris, you're excited? $10 million guy in a couple of years?
It's so dumb. It is so dumb.
It depends on how you define a
No,
market.
it is dumb.
It depends on how you define
It
a
is
market.
dumb.
The problem is it's a little bit of a fake market because you have teams that are going to spend significantly more than they make, and they're living off of football. That's different than the NBA, which is fixed model that says here's revenue, here's how we get a salary cap, and here's what you can pay players, and if you go above, there's penalties for that. When you have programs that are going to just spend more than they're going to make, that's not it's free market. No, it's not. It's a market that borrows from another market is what it is. Anyway, on the mark, off the mark next.
All right. Well, let's continue this self-serving for you. The New York Knicks are NBA Finals bound for the first time since the 1998-1999 season, and they will look to win their first title since 1973. The Knicks had no issues disposing of the Cavs in 4 games and will have yet another long
Although they
break.
lost the analytical series 4-0.
And they'll have another long break in between opponents as they await the winner of the Thunder Spurs series with game 1 of the final set for June 3rd. Mark, since 1990, you have seen 3 New York Giants Super Bowls. But would I be on the mark or off the mark for believing that a New York Knicks championship will mean more to you than any of the New York Giants Super Bowls since 1990?
1,000%.
Chris is right.
Yeah, listen, I've experienced the other 3 teams that have won. I was 6 when the Knicks last won, so I have no fandom memory at all. And because of what's been 50 plus years, yeah, absolutely.
What means more if the Giants and the Knicks were on an equally long drought?
Yeah.
What
The
means
Knicks.
more, a Super Bowl? Or really?
Because I can't erase the Giants have already won. The Giants have won. I mean, we stink now, but I mean, they've won. Although the Yankees are getting up there in years. I mean, the Rangers 94, but it's 50 plus years, and the Knicks have been a laughing stock, and I've had to eat it for years because they've underperformed and everything. And sure, listen, I think you'll agree too. As much as I joke with you, the Cowboys are an incredibly passionate fan base. They're an incredible sports cities. Boston's an amazing sports city. Chicago, Philadelphia. There's something unique about those fan bases and those cities and the frustration of when you don't win that you can appreciate, when they win. And arrogance aside, the Knicks fan base it's a great fan base. They're easy to pick on because of the obnoxious level, but yeah, want to win a championship.
Jalen Brunson is 4 wins away from becoming the greatest Knick of all time. That
Correct.
was the headline.
Correct.
Really?
Correct. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Really?
Yep. He wins the NBA final. He has earned his spot,
Even if he averages 9 points in the series.
which he won't, but yeah. Yeah. Yes.
The greatest Knick of all time.
Yes. I mean, you can sit into the basketball argument of Ewing's career numbers, but he didn't win a championship.
Because he wins the championship. That makes...
Yep. But wait, Chris. The body of work of Brunson with the Knicks doesn't compare to the years that a Ewing and the other Knicks greats have done. But because it's been so long and because he's been so good since he's gotten there, yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Does he get a statue?
I mean, it's right up there. Once Max Fried pitches Game 7, he'll be an all-time Yankee great pitcher. Does he what?
Does Jalen Brunson get a statue if he wins?
Statue? You could make him the governor for life, or I give a damn. Yeah, sure.
Well, that was the title of Sam Quinn's article at CBS Sports.
Sure, whatever.
Really, that's not disrespecting any previous Knick greats.
I think Knick players that are alive would vote Brunson. Yeah. Listen.
That's kind of pathetic.
Wait.
That's kind of pathetic.
Listen. Chris, do you know what pathetic has been? Pathetic has been the last 50 years because if I really want to get into the conversation, how long
you're calling it the greatest Knick of all time?
Over who? Tell me. Ewing's the only guy you can make the argument for, okay? And I love Patrick Ewing. He won a championship. If I take Ewing out of it, I got to go back to the 73 and the teams that came the 4 years there. Who am I leaving out? Larry Johnson? Like who am I arguing with here? Bernard King is one of my all-time favorite basketball players. Unfortunately, knee injuries cut his career short. Who? Oakley? John Starks? That guy cost me money.
Wow. Okay.
Allen Houston's finger roll? Like, how deep am I going here in great players? Dean Meminger, John Gianelli, Marvin Barnes, Toby Knight.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Moving to the Thunder Spurs. San Antonio was able to tie up the series 2-2 with their 103-82 win on Sunday. I sent you a text regarding this play right here, and it for some reason is dividing the internet.
That bucket, see where the contact is. Oh, that wasn't the foul, Reg. Yeah, let's see that left knee. No, not a lot there. No.
So this happened less than 2 minutes ago in the first quarter.
I'm agreeing with you. I
De'Aaron Fox allegedly touched
Chris is right.
SGA's knee.
Play your little clip. Chris
Hold
is
on,
right.
hold on.
There's
Let me-
more.
I'll say this probably for the 100th time. Am I on the mark or off the mark for believing that no matter the accolades that SGA has won or will win in the future, because of this flopping, foul baiting, antic stuff that he does, he should be banned from ever being considered a superstar, an all-time great, or anything like that.
That's insane. But I did say earlier, because of the social media and news cycle we live in today, he faces a level of criticism that great players typically avoided. And I do think it's impacting his image. And he's back-to-back MVP, a winner, and he may win back-to-back championships, but he is developing a reputation of that. And I can't think of anybody that dealt with that during their playing career that was considered an all-time great. And therefore, I think either he fixes his game a little bit, or that's going to be something. Now, he may win 10 championships, and it may overshadow that. But it is interesting in the last year plus, because I don't think we did it as much a year ago. 1 year later, we're doing this a lot on him now.
You can't consider him an all-time great with this.
Well,
I don't care what I don't care what he's won or what he may win in the future.
Body of work's
you
not
cannot
done.
call him an all-time great with
If
this.
it continues, he's going to have a lot of critics out there with that. Yeah.
On the mark, off.
Time for the latest news, gossip, trends, and off-the-wall stories. Trends.
That's the craziest thing I ever heard.
Did I mention to Matt Michelle about the Jason Williams story with his daughter Mia going back to playing Gainesville? She plays softball for Texas Tech. It got ugly and everything, and just classic case. Again, the adults involved in the room, and that's what they're about. I'm talking fans who said things back and forth, and people online saying, "We'll disown Jason Williams ever again, a Florida Gator." Like, come on, man. What are we doing? What are we doing? Crazy. What a great day on Double Shot Tuesday. Man, it was fun. Chris survived a sour candy. What a dud that was.
It was.
Miss
I
any of the
apologize.
show, go where you get your favorite podcast. Time of the Beat of Sports on demand. They get the entire show. Subscribe, download. Listen was convenient for you. Check out the video replay on the YouTube page and enjoy. We'll see you tomorrow for a Wednesday edition of the program. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Mark.
Chris produced. I'm Marc Daniels, the Beat of Sports.